Hi guys, it's Simon here and welcome to Solaire Connects' first long form video. Today we're sitting down with Kev Towers, who's one of the directors here, and we're going to be asking him some of the frequently asked questions that we get from people who are looking into solar panels or batteries for their home. But before I do that, I just want to take a second to congratulate you first, Kev, on 15 years in business.
Yeah, 15 years now. It's changed and morphed from a system or a company that's run out of a study in a house in Joondalup.
Yeah.
Moving on to a smaller office and warehouse space at the back and behind in Joondalup that no one really knew was there.
Yeah.
Through to more exposure, and then finally now we own our own shop in Lansdale, and really we can do what we want from there. So
nice big warehouse, nice journey. So I know for a fact that most solar companies in Perth only last, less than 5 years. What is it that you did or do different, do you think, that's made you still going strong after 15, where the majority of what we know?
Good question. I think learning lessons early was a gift that we was given. We coming into solar in 2009, it was like the Wild West.
Yeah.
There was no brand association, no brand awareness, so it was difficult. So one of the things from my background was I like quality. I like working with quality products.
Yeah.
And coming from my own contracting business before Solaire was a business, it was, I don't like having to go back on failed systems.
Yeah.
So basically it was, we affiliated with a brand called Ecology, who was a German company. They were headquartered out of Malaga for Australia. They were the third largest renewable energy company in the world. Their products were Rolls Royce. That we used to spend $5 a watt on solar panels, which is basically $1,000 per panel.
Wow.
So they were high quality.
Yeah.
You only got a 10-year warranty back then. But the idea is
10 years on the panels.
10 years on the panel, yeah. So it's all changed now.
Yeah.
So the idea was go for bulletproof products that are going to last. Unfortunately, Ecology didn't last.
Right.
They sent us a fax showing that Asian business, where they sent us a fax saying they're ceasing to trade in Australia and your warranties are gone as well. So if they'd have been cheap, inferior products with a high failure rate, probably wouldn't be sat here now, and I realise that. So having that as a learning lesson, where all of those products are out of warranty, they've all done well, we didn't get any failures on those panels. That's the lesson that was learned. But if you buy quality and you buy right and you install it properly, it will last in the harsh conditions that we're going to put them in.
Yeah.
So many companies that, in my opinion, that you look around and who are the ones predominantly going out of business, not all of them, but predominantly, they no thrills bill busters, which is great. If you can get your hands on one, they're all good. I can see why people do it.
Yeah.
But the problem is that if you install 100 of them, you might end up with 30 of them with problems, and that might not be yours as the consumer.
Yeah.
But all of those are the problem with the company.
Of course, yeah.
And as time goes by,
especially as the sales slow down, the money coming out.
Yeah, and look, as a sales company, if you don't have your own electrical license, you're paying a contractor to go and fix up a unit every time. They won't pay them like a contractor.
Of course, yeah.
So again, lessons learned, and what can go wrong. You might as well plan for what can go wrong.
Yeah.
So that was like the Ecology disappearing from the industry was like a free gift.
Yeah.
We took it on board, we took it on the chin, and
learn a lesson.
Yeah. So try and not make those mistakes as best as possible moving forward.
Yeah, cool. Alright, well, I'll get into some of the questions that we get pretty much on a daily basis. Obviously, one of the most common questions is, we're thinking about installing a 6 kilowatt system. We do want something that's decent quality, and how much should we expect to pay?
Yep. Out of pocket expense, it's going to be a wide margin of what can you spend. You've got your reasonable string inverters, a good sort of mid-range entry point to the market, through to your M-phase microinverters that are going to be your more expensive. I would say that a fair price covering different houses and setups, you're going to pay somewhere between $5,000 and $9,000 for a 6.6 kilowatt, and within that range, you're going to get a plethora of products that will suit you. And you can also avoid cutting those corners.
That's what I was going to sort of go on, because a lot of the people, they see online that they can buy a system for 3.5 or 4K or something like that. Why is there big difference in the price there, and why do we sort of avoid those lower end systems?
Well, again, it's, as a business, we have to warrant them for the period that the manufacturer chooses to have the warranty run for. So if I don't, or if as a company we deem it high risk, then the risk isn't worth the reward. I wouldn't want to put my name to it. So the factors that we look at are reliability, what's the potential growth in the future, people in the industry who we've spoken to before we would even consider trialling a product, trying to get some feedback, where have they been, have they got a presence here in Australia. Future proofing is a big one, because that's where the money's going to be made in the future for manufacturers. So do they manufacture batteries or not? What kind of price point are their batteries? What is the quality of their batteries? All of the add-ons that can go onto your solar power systems. They really want to have those options there, hence why I'm sitting here wearing Solar Edge preferred partner t-shirts. Just the amount of flexibility that they have in their systems, and on selling other products other than just an inverter and a solar panel. You can come back time after time and buy more products.
I do. I remember when I first started here, and I was absolutely blown away by Solar Edge, to be honest with you. I just wouldn't recommend the system to most people based on where we're heading in the future with batteries and EVs. And most people don't realise, but nearly every home eventually will have a battery that's got a 6 kilowatt system on it. With that said, what kind of systems do you have on your home?
So on my house, I've got the M-phase microinverters.
Nice.
We did that just for the flexibility in, we had 3-phase power and we wanted to be able to upsize. So the nice thing about N-phase is you can put on 16 panels today, and that might be 5 kilowatts of inverter capacity. And then you can go and add another 8 panels on in the future of any panel, any brand, any future microinverter that comes along. And you can just expand and have a truly modular solar power system. On the other owners of the business, they've all got Solar Edge. Again, they had single phase power. It really lends itself to that point of difference where they've got their future proofing for batteries, their oversizing. On a single phase home, where in Western Australia you're going to find those limitations with Western Power. So it really does give that point of difference.
And with M-phase as well, I know they're the safest system on the market, is that right?
That's right.
Cool. So, a lot of the work we've done recently, I know the solar industry has changed. A lot of people do have solar from a long time ago. Some systems are now 14, 15 years old. And we've been doing a lot of upgrades recently from people who've had a 1.5, 2 kilowatt system that's not producing enough power, and they didn't know they could get a rebate towards a new system. But we did get a lot of feedback from that. People asking, why would they get solar if they're going to upgrade or buy a new one in the future? So I guess the question is, in which situation does it make sense for someone to choose to upgrade to a bigger system?
Look, I guess if your system's aging out or if your inverter has failed, the reality is you're probably better off in changing everything out rather than just changing the inverter, especially if you've seen your bills creeping up. If the bills aren't creeping up and it's doing what you need, then obviously just change the inverter. But the old legacy systems that are 1.5 kilowatt with no feed-in tariff anymore, it's not
Well, that's
really.
it. Yeah, it was amazing when we had the feed-in tariff, and these
Yeah.
guys made 10, 20k in the first 10 years. But when that tariff dropped, you started to get the bills creeping
Yeah.
in again.
Now you're just looking at consumption is king, and nothing or very little for your feed-in. It's
It's kind of
1.5
changed the way
kilowatts.
people use it.
Yeah, and that's where, with those customers, you would sort of talk about, okay, you've done this once,
Yeah.
you're now going to do it again, whether your system has failed or you've just outgrown it.
Yeah.
The reality is that you could end up at that point again, and that's why, as a brand or a business, we look at SolarEdge or Enphase, because those two are truly modular, even with WA's or Western Power's regulations on single-phase homes.
Yeah.
So having, say for example, a single-phase home and a limitation of how much solar you can put on a standard system, for example, a Fresnel will allow you to do 150% oversizing if you've got a battery attached to that system. So you could put 7.5 kilowatts of PV onto that inverter if you have the roof space, and providing that the panels are facing in the right direction for the strings to work. The SolarEdge will allow you to put panels north, south, east and west.
Yeah.
It will allow you to have up to 15 kilowatts of solar power on your 5 kilowatt inverter. You can have 3 batteries on that one inverter. You can do electric vehicle charging via that inverter, so smart energy. So
essentially, it's just giving them a lot more options. As well.
yeah, so you're not going to get to the point if you decide a 6.6 is the system for today.
Yeah.
SolarEdge will cost you a bit more money than a standard string inverter.
Yeah.
But what it does is it sits there and you're going to be able to manipulate that system later on, as opposed to not being able to manipulate it and being stuck with, again, am I going to remove this system 5 or 6 years down the track? Once I
Just knowing they've got the capacity to go up to 15 kilowatt of panels on it.
Yeah, and look, the reason why you would upgrade and maybe do that is if your aircon is running, if your adaptive reverse cycle aircon is on, that might be drawing 4.5-5 kilowatts, which that's all be solar.
Yeah.
You might have a pool going, you're going to have your residuals running like your fridge, your microwave, your oven, your phone chargers. So how does the battery charge on those hot days or when the weather is poor in winter? SolarEdge, you can do that oversizing, and it's going to account for 5 kilowatts of power coming into your house all day long. The oversizing on the DC side is going to allow you to charge that battery whether you're using all of that power or not. It's going to allow you to have multiple batteries, so really again future-proofing to the ridiculous. Electric car comes along.
And right, you can fit a lot more on the roof anyway, just because the panels are twice as efficient as it was.
Exactly. So yeah, 15 years ago, the panels were sort of 165 watts, 160 watts.
So like 440.
Looking like we're maybe moving towards the 470s.
So essentially, you can get twice as much power out of the same roof space now.
100%.
Cool. So another question we get is around the rebate, and there's a lot of misleading information online where people say you can get paid to go solar and all this stupid stuff from the government. So for these people asking what the rebate is and what it covers, what is the rebate exactly and how much can typical homeowner in Perth get?
Yeah, so again, rules and regulations around a single phase home, you're not having more than a 5 kilowatt inverter. You can put 6.6 kilowatt panels onto a 5 kilowatt inverter without a battery. So you'll be looking at a government rebate of just under $2,500 that will be subsidised off of your price.
So it's gone down a lot recently, hasn't it? I remember
every year, every January 1 it will reduce.
So I remember it was
again,
like 5,800 not too long ago.
Yeah, so going back sort of 10 years, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Solar panels have also come down in price.
Absolutely.
So that offsets that.
Yeah.
This is one of the main reasons where I focus when I talk to customers. I focus on the quality of the product, but also the quality of the install. So this is a real key factor for us, is that, okay, so we might be looking at doing solar again now, and you've got the cushion of the £2,500 government rebate, which is nice.
Yeah, cool.
In 5 years' time, there's no government rebate. You're paying 100% of all of that cost yourself. So let's just do it once. Let's do it right, especially if you are, 60, 65, and you're making a buying decision now. You don't want to be hitting 70, 75, and we're doing this all again with no assistance from the government. It's let's do it once, let's do it properly, and let's get it right.
Let's get a system that you can grow with over time.
Yeah, let's actually understand. If you want to put a battery on that one day or now, let's understand what that means. Like cost-wise, what would it mean today? Cost-wise, what could it mean in the future? What's the practicalities of it? How hard is it going to be to adapt a battery onto that system?
Yeah.
Like, having someone answer those questions that understands the answer is important.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of people out there, and obviously most of the systems we sell now are solar edge. People are starting to understand the benefits of it. I guess where there's some people, there's people out there who want solar edge, they don't have, savings lying around. What kind of options are there for people who've got high bills but don't have the initial outlay to buy a system?
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got lots of options. There's some good green loans out there. Obviously, your best option is always going to be if you've got some money in your mortgage that you can redraw on. That's going to be the cheapest way of doing it.
Yeah.
There's some really good green loans out there. We use Bright currently.
Yeah.
So a really good, flexible, easy, low hassle way of getting some finance approved. Especially if you may be looking at batteries, or you're looking at investing more than what the bottom dweller companies are doing. Maybe you finance the wrong amount of money for what you're really now wanting to buy. Financing part of that or all of that, and paying that system off over a period of time that's comfortable for you. And still being able to go on holiday. Life is important. Solar is just one little thing.
It's an investment for your home. You've got other things you sometimes need to spend the money on.
100%.
I know in some cases if the synergy bills are high enough that the payment plan can actually be cash positive.
100%.
So what's that mean exactly? Can you explain?
So cash positive basically means that your energy bill could be $700 every 2 months, as you say. If you can reduce that by, say, $350 in a billing period,
conservative,
yet your out-of-pocket expense on a repayment plan is going to be much less than $350 every 2 months, which now means that you're, instead of paying synergy, the $700, you're now only paying them $350, and you're paying a repayment plan that is less than $350 every 2 months. So it could leave you, a couple of $100 cash positive whilst you're actually paying.
It's not bad considering it's an investment and you're getting paid 100% straight away.
And again, you want to have quality that is on your roof for 25 years. Investing that little bit extra and paying it off slowly is, for a lot of people, better than just giving us a chunk of their cash.
Well, with the economy, I think that there's lots of families out there who love to have solar, and they just think that they can't get it, but it is obviously, if those are higher enough, it's an option.
Absolutely. Payment plans are always a good option. Again, it's always worth asking the question of what's best for me as an individual, rather than what's best for the sales guy. Because they can definitely be two different things.
For sure.
But yeah.
Is there any upfront cost with the payment plan?
Yeah, so there's going to be a small upfront cost to have an establishment fee, and then basically you're going to have an ongoing weekly or fortnightly fee.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So a lot of the questions we get as well, and this is through, we have different providers who send us inquiries in, we get tons of different questions, but what a lot of people are asking for now is the system with panel independence and consumption monitoring. What exactly is panel independence and consumption monitoring?
Yeah, so basically, that basically means DC optimized or microinverters. So Solar Edge or Enphase tick both of those boxes.
Yeah.
That's kind of our niche of what we have really sort of carved out for ourselves. We specialise in both of those. So the biggest benefit that the consumers can get is they're actually going to be able to monitor their panels.
Yeah.
So are they all generating consistent amounts across the roof space? Is one underperforming? Is one in shade? Is that having that panel that is in shade is not having a knock-on effect to every other
And this is
panel that's on
something,
the roof?
if you've got a traditional system, you can't see this.
No, you can't see.
You have no idea what's going on with the panels.
No.
So you could have a system that's not performing and trying to figure out why
Yep.
could be.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to pay a trained technician to come out and have a look and service your system, which costs you hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Which again is something that should definitely be done periodically.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't know,
It can cost you money.
if you can only see what is your system generating, you have no understanding of what the panels are generating,
Yeah.
and you have no understanding of what you're saving.
Yeah.
Without consumption monitoring, you can, at the end of your billing cycle, you can just end up with another $500 bill,
Yeah.
and in your mind, solar has saved you nothing. So consumption monitoring will show you what the house is consuming, what your solar is doing, how much the house is taking from the solar, and how much it's taking from the network.
Cool. So I get that right. It's going to tell you obviously what it's producing, and then the consumption monitor is going to tell you exactly when you're drawing from your solar and when you're going over that amount.
Exactly.
So for instance, a lot of people go over when they've got multiple appliances on. If you haven't got that consumption monitoring, you're not going to be able to see that, and you could still be, pulling from the grid during the day waiting for the system.
Yeah, information is powerful.
Yeah.
So running your air conditioner, especially ducted reverse cycle air conditioners, people don't understand how much they can cost. So understanding what is it drawing. I've got all this free energy in the daytime, so I want to take advantage of that as much as I can. So cooling your house while the sun's up is absolutely imperative.
Yeah.
If you come home at 4 o'clock and you turn your air conditioner on, and you've got consumption monitoring, a little red line of jumping up to show you that you owe Synergy that money.
Yeah.
Your house is very hot. The air conditioner is going to try and remove all of that heat from the house and get it to temperature. So it costs you a lot of money. Aircon's going to work really hard. And essentially your prepaid energy, which is your solar power system, has gone into the grid for 2 cents a kilowatt
So I
hour.
guess you might be paying a little bit extra for Solar Edge or Enphase or these features for consumption monitoring, etc. Over the course of 20 years, with that, where you can see what's going on in the system, you're going to be able to manage your power usage a lot better and actually save more.
Yeah, if you
to see what's going on.
If you know,
Yeah.
you know, and you've got the power available. I'll turn the washing machine on. I'll turn the dishwasher on.
Yeah.
The pool pump should be going on at 7:30 in summer, but in winter it shouldn't be going on until 10:30.
Yeah.
Those adjustments mean that you can have, the relief on the bill that you're looking for.
Yeah, well, you've got control. You
Yeah.
can actually see what's going on.
And if you're going to spend $5,000 and not really know what the system is doing, that's a lot of money.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially when you can spend $500-600 more,
Yeah.
and you can get consumption monitoring on that system. So
I think for me the main thing is people are they don't have delayed gratification. They understand the cheapest might have the shortest return on investment, but they don't realise over the 25 years the more expensive one actually produces a much better return over a long period.
100%. And you get that, you see that at the end of Solar Edge you can put in your billing period. So you can actually see what did I save?
It's not looking at the bill and trying to figure out.
You can try and figure it out, you won't get the answer.
Yeah.
You'll just be guessing.
Yeah.
So that's the nice thing about Enphase and Solar Edge is it comes as standard.
Yeah.
You can monitor the panels, you can monitor the house consumption, all of the other systems. So you buy any system from anybody, and you can have consumption monitoring. You just have to pay extra for it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when people are trying to sell you a cheap system, they don't want to sell you the added extras or tell you about the added extras.
Yeah.
It just comes with a free app
Yeah.
that really tells you nothing.
Yeah, cool. And another, obviously, a lot of people buying electric vehicles. You see a lot of Teslas and BYDs, and there's a field up there with 10,000 BYDs in waiting for orders. We get questions that day, what EV chargers do we do, and are they smart chargers? It's a question we get a lot.
Yeah, so Solaire have got their own EV charger, which we do. So if you buy a Solaire system, I'd strongly recommend you keep it all within that same network. Enphase have that on their roadmap that they will bring their own into Australia soon, so it'll be nice to see that here as well. Fronius also have their own, it's a good charger, so if you've got a Fronius system, you can integrate their smart charger as well, which you can dictate that it will use your surplus solar. Going back to Solaire, they also are going to release their new DC charger, which that will be a game changer. So what that will do is, that is basically going to allow you to charge on the DC side. So you activate those two extra prongs on the charging port, and if you do have a battery, if you do have the 15 kilowatt of panel on the roof, you're actually be able to charge up to 15 kilowatts off of that 1.5 kilowatt inverter. Better than that though, at night time you'll be able to pull the power out of your car back into the house. So
you'll be able to power your house from your car?
Yeah. Obviously certain cars may not allow
that.
Can you
imagine saying that 10 years ago? What people
no.
think?
Again, this is where progressive companies are already looking at that. Yes, it might be early adopters, yes, that might be something that's coming down the track. But again, what do we want to do? Buy something where these people are already forward thinkers? Or do we just want to be reactive and I'll have a system that is good for today and I'll tear it off in 5 years and I'll do it again and then I'll do it again.
I think I've noticed that since working there is I've worked at other companies where people are just trying to sell, whereas here it's all informative based. We leave the information with them, let them make the decision.
Yeah, I find from when I'm looking at buying something as a consumer, I like to think that I've got the necessary intelligence that if you give me the information I need,
make a decision.
I can do it without you pressuring me or without unnecessarily sort of just saying this is what it is. So I don't necessarily always say Solaire is the way forward. You've got good, better, best. Solaire sometimes is definitely, you'd be silly to go any other way, but not everyone is in the same boat. Just like in buying solar from us, some people don't want to hear what I have to say. They want a cheaper price. They don't want to hear me saying that doesn't work.
Some people are buying it for an investment property where they don't even live. They don't need the bells and whistles. They're just trying to look after the tenant and give them a bit of power. Yeah,
I mean, look, at the end of it, I still wouldn't recommend a cheapo system there because it's your house. It's when it doesn't work, you get the tenants phoning you up whinging. So reliability and sustainability and someone who can service that system is going to be pretty important. But yeah, look, sometimes it's the cheapest offer wins, and for those customers, it's just not worth talking to me. I'm not going to say anything that you want to hear. And we've got nothing to offer you either. And look, that's fine. So, and the same with customers who are looking at us as a company, want quality, but maybe don't want the extra information that comes with a Solaire or an Enphase. And the right option has to be for that person. So as long as that information is outlined and here's your good, your better, your best, then people are smart enough to realise if that's something that interests them or if they see value in it. So it's the easiest way to do business in my opinion. And also it's the way where there's the least amount of fuss and phone calls and headaches. And do the right thing every time as much as you can. And
just for the introduction, we get a few calls every day from people who've got a system that's broke down that was installed by some company that's gone bust. It's what we call in the industry an orphan system. Can you explain what exactly is an orphan system?
So an orphan system is basically companies gone out of business. So whilst you might, depending on the inverter, you're going to get your product if provided the manufacturer is still around, you will get that replaced if it's under warranty. But nobody's installing that.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to pay someone to come out and do it. You're also going to need someone to diagnose the fault and someone to put the warranty claim into the manufacturer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time, there's a lot of downtime, there's a lot of headaches, and then there's trying to find.
And it's going to cost you money.
It's costing you money.
To do a warranty.
Yeah. So your warranty is only covering product. Once the retailer has gone out of business,
The installer's gone. You need to.
yeah, 100% of the cost is now going to be your own. So you might find, if it's a good manufacturer, you might find that someone has been put in place to look after your warranty, but that's still going to be a cost. So you're not going to have to do the looking around and trying to source someone.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be put in place to do that warranty work, but you will be charged whatever the cost is for them. And no one's going around doing.
Well, you don't want to be paying for a warranty. The point of the warranty is that you can get it fixed if something goes wrong. So what would be tips to avoid choosing a company that's likely to go out of business? Because there's hundreds that run out of business. How can you, as a consumer, identify which company may go?
Well, it's a difficult one. You don't know what their personal situation is like. You don't know what their business financials are like.
Yeah.
I guess what you can look at is you can look at how long they've been in business. So the ABN check would be the first thing.
I always say that. I've had customers recently who've been told that a company was 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Check the ABN and it was.
Yeah. Fortunately today we live in a world where everyone's got a computer in their pockets. They can Google everything.
Google ABNs, you can see anything.
So it's a lot easier today, but not everyone's savvy to that. Some people are older and are just not used to sort of double checking or realise that you can just type in someone's name and ABN check.
Yeah.
Things that I would look at, and again this is no disrespect to those companies that are doing it, is if you've been in business for 5 years you would think there's an understanding of how the industry works, the rebates, you need to be able to manage your money because there's a lot of comings and goings. Financially, I would be looking at, do you have your own premises? How easy is it to shut your business down? So to a sole trader, super easy. Things, the industry's not panning out. I have to sell super cheap systems. I'm really only making wages. But now all of a sudden I've got to do all the warranty work.
It's interesting because I know lads who sort of do solar independently and they might sell a cheap system, but these guys, they're on the mines sometimes. Other times they're in Croatia. Can you imagine trying to get a warranty claim with somebody who's on the boat in Croatia? Yeah,
exactly. And that's what it is. Is that if you're a man in a van, it's super easy to shut that down. The man is the business.
Well, his weekly money is feeding his family, so he can't go back.
No. He can't be organising. You've changed your Wi-Fi password. Okay, so now it needs to be. You need help reconnecting it. I'm on a roof, fitting solar panels. Your system's found. I've got to get back there, but you're in Mandurah and I live in Joondalup.
It's impossible.
It just again. Everyone is different, everyone makes their choice. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy from those companies, but that's what I would look at as high risk. I'd also look at high risk as companies that are too big. I don't think there's the money in solar to be...
Too many overheads.
Yeah, so when you start looking at your big national companies and you can look at the ones that have gone out of business, I just don't think that business model works. There's too many mouths need feeding. And those companies have to sell it en masse, and they're selling for nothing. And there's a sales guy who's wanting commission. There's a freight of all of your systems that are going out. You're only using contractors across the country. It doesn't make sense. Once the money man come in and look at the business, as they did with True Value Solar, the biggest company in Australia. Once the money men look at it and say it's not worth doing the business, you pull out. And then the company is gone.
Then we're left with tens of thousands of solar systems that don't have people to look after it.
The lure of high efficiency panels, of free Wi-Fi, of all the silliness that they do, and the cheap price. I get it. But
it's not sustainable.
And look, my favourite thing about solar is time doesn't lie, and neither does the quality of your product when you put it in the most hostile conditions you can on your roof. Like, there's no hiding place.
Yeah.
You know, they're sitting out there in 44-degree heat, they're sitting there in high winds, they're sitting there when it hailstones, they're sitting there when large amounts of torrential rain is coming down.
Yeah.
They're sitting there when at night time the mercury hits zero. You know? And people can't be upset when their cheap solar power system falls over.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't built to last.
As you said, the
It was
climate
built
here is
to
a
be
lot
cheap.
different than a lot of places around
Yeah.
the world, and the systems need to be tried and tested.
Yeah, I
in this
mean,
climate.
yeah, we've got lots of other places in the world where solar panels are designed primarily for those conditions,
Yeah.
like Europe. So Europe doesn't get the heat that we do for long periods of time. Europe, I mean, look, certain places do. Europe has snow, so obviously they're looking at that as a problem. We don't have to even consider that here for many places across Australia. So
maybe different panels are suited to different regions. Then.
yeah, and when you start looking at installation guidelines and how you should install a panel and things like that, you really have to start looking at where are we actually installing it. And Perth is a super windy city.
Yeah.
It gets really hot. For 3 months of the year, it's pretty much the same day after day after day.
Yeah.
When it rains really heavy. In winter, it gets down to close to zero. In the middle of the night, even though the system's not operating, it's still been exposed to those temperatures.
Yeah.
So, you know, your connections on the panels, all of your weak spots, you know, they're going to get found out. If there's somewhere for water ingress or, you know, a weak spot for something to be found out, it will get found
And
out.
also, a lot of people realise with the cheap price is they're not necessarily cutting corners on the panels and the inverters, they're cutting corners on all the little things around it that make the installation.
Yeah, the balance of the system.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And I suppose this is maybe the last one to wrap it up. We've obviously quite a lot of people buying batteries recently. Now, batteries are still fairly expensive.
Yeah.
So what would you say the reason is for this big uptake that we've seen recently with batteries?
I think in moving to more towards mainstream purchasing of batteries, you've got more competition coming out, like your likes of your Goodleys and your Sungrows, are starting to bring out
So getting a little bit cheaper.
But yeah, in that more sort of mid-range area, you can get a decent system and not have to pay, you know, 25, 30 grand anymore.
Yeah.
Nowhere near that. So you can still get decent options today. I mean, people, speaking from a Solaire Connect point of view, something like a SolarEdge battery where we're doing deals with SolarEdge buying in bulk obviously helps. Because we're getting that bulk buy price. So we're able to give much better price than we did 12 months ago because of the way that we're buying them. We'll go back to our old customers and say, you know, here's the price of what we can do. We're looking at around about $2,000 cheaper on the SolarEdge battery today than what we was, you know, 16 months ago or something like that. Just because of the way we're buying them. I don't know what the cost of a battery is for SolarEdge in terms of their profit and what they want to sell for as a one versus a minimum sell price. But for what we're now buying them for in the numbers that we're buying them, they're going out quick enough that we can afford to do that.
So we're able to sort of pass on that savings.
And then the customer can take the benefit of buying a better system with a better battery and more flexibility moving forward. So it's a good way that we can bridge the gap from your Chinese manufacturers to your SolarEdge. Where yes, it still costs you more money, but there is a point of difference.
There's a lot of points of difference for this battery compared to some of the ones. And what about with grid outages? I know some of the customers bought one because they lived in Perth Hills. They've been facing quite a few grid outages. And
Yeah.
just wanted to be able to keep the fridge running, and there was someone that insulin the fridge or something.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. I mean, as standard, we'll do backup on every battery we do. It doesn't matter if it's going to be a Goodway, a Sungrow, or a Solaire or an Enphase.
Yeah.
We're going to do battery backup. To me, there's absolutely no point spending, 15, 20 grand, and then the power goes out and your battery doesn't work. Everyone looks pretty silly.
So battery backup, that's when the batteries enable to turn on when the grid goes down.
Yes, yes. So when the grid goes down, you predominantly be looking at essential circuits, so lights and power. You want to keep your lights on in your bedrooms.
Yeah.
You want to keep your fridge and TV on in the family kitchen meals room.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be running big ducted air conditioners because they're too thirsty. They're going to drain your battery and you're going to be sat there in the dark again. So again, it doesn't matter what manufacturer, that's what we would be looking at.
Cool. And is that possible on every house? Every house can have battery backup?
We do better batteries, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's an optional extra. So again, you've got to be talking to your consultant and making sure that it's included. You don't want to get caught out and realise that
you haven't,
it's not been included and how much is it to include it, and they want. Some of them cost more than others as well to include battery backup. Some are done through the inverter, some are done through a backup box, which wholesale costs you hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. So do any of the batteries come with the backup included, or is it all additional?
No. So you would always buy an inverter and a battery.
Yeah.
So they would be two different components.
Got it. Okay, it's a bit confusing for me as a non-technical person, but
Yeah.
the main thing is obviously if you're going to buy a battery, you need to ask the consultant that you're buying it from, has it got backup power, if that's something you need.
Yeah, I think probably batteries, the things you want to understand is, am I AC coupling or DC coupling at a later date? Is this a hybrid inverter or is it not a hybrid inverter? A non-hybrid inverter means you're going to go down the road of AC coupling, which means Tesla, Sonnen and the likes.
Yeah.
Good batteries, no problem with that, typically going to cost you a fair chunk of change more than a DC coupled battery.
Yeah.
And then you're going to talk to two manufacturers when it comes to warranty, which may not always be satisfactory for
the inverter's a different model, isn't it?
So you might not always be a satisfactory outcome for a retailer and then a consumer in their expectation of how long is this going to take me to get my warranty approved.
Yeah.
With a Solar Edge or a Goodway or a Sungrow, you're looking at single vendor solutions, where your battery manufacturer and your inverter manufacturer are the same company.
And even your EV charger as well.
And your EV charger in the case of Solar
And
Edge.
all the warranties just under one, but you're doing the same vehicle every time, everything.
Yeah. It's always better to have a single vendor solution where you can.
Of course.
But when it's not possible, then the Teslas and the Sonnens are a great option as well. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just when you're asking that question, you're mapping out what am I doing in the future.
Yeah.
They're kind of things that I'd be wanting to make sure
Yeah.
I knew as a consumer, and then as a consultant, there's something that I would want a customer to understand before putting your hand in your pocket.
Cool. Just lastly, is there any rebates for batteries?
No.
No. Is there any anywhere?
Unfortunately not. Yeah, some other states have them. Queensland have just announced one.
Yeah.
Look, if we follow suit with Queensland, off the top of my head I can't remember exactly what they've got. I think they've got 2,000 rebate allocations of $4,000 each. But there are stipulations around it. You've got around a certain amount, less than a certain amount per household.
So based on income?
Right. So we may follow suit. If we ever get something that may be similar.
Yeah. But you think we will? Do you think we will get something?
I'm not sure.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to say we will get something and it doesn't. It's
No, of course,
obviously a state government funded project. You'd like to think we'd get something, but whatever does potentially get approved, I'd like to see it be something that's sustainable.
I guess why I asked you that, to be honest, was a lot of people who they've got high bills and they're looking at solar panels, and then they're saying they're gonna wait until the battery rebate comes. And we don't even know if battery rebate's coming. So So these people are going to continue paying Synergy in the hopes of one day a battery might be funded by the government, whereas they can get a system now with money from the government.
Yeah, look,
Does it make sense to wait for the batteries to come down in price to get solar?
well, in talking with Solar Edge, I would say the answer is probably no. The reason I say that is that a lot of batteries, or Chinese products in particular, is funded or subsidised by the Chinese government.
Yeah.
If they're starting to pull back funding to these manufacturers, then the price of your batteries are going to go up.
Yeah.
How competitive the Teslas and the Sonans and the Solar Edges and the M-Phase have to be, then obviously loosens up.
Yeah.
Because they can just maintain market share and potentially earn a bit more profit on a high cost appliance like a battery.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely fair enough.
Should you avoid actually getting solar panels just because you can't afford a battery?
No. If you've got the money, so solar panels will save you straight away. That's going to give you a quick return on your investment, whether you buy a good, bad or indifferent system.
Yeah.
You'll get your money back fairly quickly. How long that continues to give you money back is obviously up for debate.
Yeah.
Batteries, my thing with batteries is if you have the money now and you want to invest, buy a battery now.
Yeah.
There is zero point in waiting. You'll wait forever.
I think any investment's kind of better sooner, isn't it?
Yeah, you can change your tariff to a time use tariff here in Perth. If you discharge your battery once a day, you're going to save yourself somewhere in the region of about $1,800 a year on what the battery discharges.
Yeah.
If you're going to wait for 3 years to get your money back, if you're going to wait for 3 years to buy a battery, your battery needs to have dropped by nearly $6,000
to make up for what you've missed out.
Exactly. Start saving today if you've got the money.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money and you're stretching yourself too much, then don't. Just buy solar.
Buy solar.
Yeah. Buy solar. Make sure you ask the right questions.
Yeah.
This is what I love about Solar Edge is you don't have to ask the questions with Solar Edge. It is a hybrid.
It's got everything.
If you're ready to go, you can come back later on. We can put a battery on.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely fine. If you need more PV, we can put more panels on the roof when you come and do that battery. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So there's less questions to ask. There's more security around it.
Yeah.
A really progressive company as well. That has lots of presence here in Australia. So again, more reasons why I like it. But no, there's solar or batteries. I think if you have the money and you want to invest in something, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's many investments out there that are quite
Certainly,
secure as solar.
you put your money in the bank, you're going to get a very small return.
It's not going to play investing double your money in 7 years.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what you'd be looking at, is what's your return on investment on a battery.
Yeah.
Certain batteries you can get somewhere around 6 years. So 6 to 8 year return on your investment. Very good.
Very good investment.
Yeah.
Right, well that's all the questions, so I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. No,
Thank you for your time, Kev.
Cheers, Simon.
Appreciate it. And
okay. Hopefully see you guys around.